I've had the Ecoflow PowerStream MicroInverter on my watch list for nearly a year, but it was always out of stock. I am not really sure why or how, but for a limited period the PowerStream was available for £99 instead of the usual £329, so I snapped one up along with a BKW Battery Cable for £39 to connect my Delta 2 power station. The build quality of the PowerStream is very impressive, with a very solid aluminium case and reassuringly serious sockets at the back of the unit along with the antenna. In the box you also get a plastic protective case which I inverted to protect the surface from any heat generated by the unit, but which would normally sit on top of the PowerStream. There is an installation board to fit the unit to the wall along with all the associated nuts and bolts. There is a cable puller in the protective case. The BKW solar cable included is verging on industrial grade, as is the BKW battery cable for the Delta 2. It is worth noting that the PowerStream is limited to 55 volts solar input. Unfortunately, because I had set up my 4 Ecoflow 100 watt solar panels for the Delta 2, they deliver 34.2 volts at 11.8 amps. To set up the system, I simply followed the poster-sized instruction sheet. First up was to connect the solar panels, and whilst the included cable has the capacity to accept input from 2 panels or arrays, I obviously only needed to use 1 pair of MC4 sockets. Next up was connecting the switched off Delta 2 power station and then the mains lead, at which point I could turn the power station on. Interestingly, I later found that plugging the battery cable into the Delta 2 fired it up automatically. I already had the Ecoflow app installed, and the PowerStream immediately initiated the automatic setup of firstly the Wi-Fi connection and network, and then binding the unit to my phone. I then set up the space as a residential system as well as the location, and confirmed that it would be used with a power station, which took me to the power supply prioritization option. This simply allows the home power or the power station to take priority of incoming solar watts. If you choose the power station having priority, then the house doesn't receive any power until the power station is fully charged. Conversely, if the home power has priority, then the power station only charges when there are solar watts beyond whatever you set as the home base power demand, which was the next screen, and which starts off at a default of 100 watts. The PowerStream automatically draws power from the power station to achieve the base power demand if there aren't enough solar watts entering the system. Obviously, this being Scotland, the weather was overcast with a storm on the way when I did the setup, because why wouldn't it be? So the solar watts were delivering at a minimum, but hopefully you get the idea of how it all works accessing the different options in the app. In the settings menu, you can define the household power demand and set up rules to control where and how much of the power is distributed in the system, as well as charge and discharge limits, and also access all the data on the setup and update the firmware. You can set the kilowatt hour cost to getting a daily, monthly and yearly analysis of energy captured and savings. In conclusion, I'm very impressed with the PowerStream so far, not only in terms of build quality, but also because of its functionality and the potential that it offers. I'll upload a separate video in a week or so on how the app works for me and on changing the settings once I've played with all the options and feel comfortable with them based on my energy usage. It's all good.